everything is a challenge. I always think that if you do things the way you're comfortable, then all your work will look the same. So I think you should go out of your comfort level. Maybe you'll make mistakes, but then you learn from it. And not afraid to take risk. The old saying is, no guts, no glory. So I had a lot of very interesting friends from when I was young, which is how I made terrorists, because I have their help also. This film is written by the camera. It is not a script film, it's a film written by the camera. So things change, everything changes, that you realize then itself. But the fact is that what doesn't change is your sensibilities. So I think traveling is one of the best education for someone who wants to do cinematography, to understand and absorb the culture that we have.
So he was your first teacher?
He's my only teacher.
Only teacher?
The other teachers are there, but not directly.
இந்த வீடியோவை உங்களுக்கு வழங்குபவர்கள் Paces Pay, secure digital payments with multiple features and great success rate.
Cinematographer. Today, we are going to meet the greatest cinematographer, actor, producer, director, Sri Santosh Sivan sir, who is pride of Indian cinema, and we are going to travel through his nostalgic years of filmmaking and also the technical development which is happening in world cinema. His insights will definitely going to be more beneficial, and so sweet of him to spend time with us conversing about cinema.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
So, your film,
Yeah.
3D film.
3D film, yes.
What is that exciting about that film, sir?
Actually, this is the last film I did, actually.
Yes, sir.
So Mohanlal had this great idea that he wants to direct a film. I know him for a very long time. He's a very interesting person. And he wanted to direct a film. So I asked him the script and all that. Script is by Jijo. Now it's more like a children's film. So I asked him, it's a children's film. So he wanted to do a kind of a children's film. Not only for children, for everyone. But he wanted it to be 3D and all that. So I found 3D very exciting. Now Mohanlal is not, neither of us has done 3D. The camera is so big,
Yes.
And then there's always this forced perspective, that is, camera will come near and when you try to touch it and all that stuff. So the camera has to come very close. So if the camera, such a big camera comes so close, there's bound to be shadows. Then in 3D, normally when you shoot, you have to expose at very high aperture, like f8,
F8.
so that the depth of field should be there. Then only the 3D effect is really effective. So it has a lot of restraints. There's not much choice of lenses, only 3 lenses. But I think everything is a challenge. I always think that if you do things the way you're comfortable, then all your work will look the same. So I think you should go out of your comfort level. Maybe you'll make mistakes, but then you learn from it. But if you don't try to change yourself and be very content to do conventionally and what you know or what you have tried before, then it is not very exciting.
Exactly.
The whole filmmaking, because every story that you shoot is different. So everything should have its own feel. So you try to change and not afraid to take risk. The old saying is, no guts, no glory. If you have guts only, there's glory. So you have to, especially new people, should try new things, not get sunk in a comfort zone. But most of them are doing that because they get comfortable knowing that this image is good, or maybe people like it like this, so they do the same thing. But then it does not do anything to you.
Are you a supporter for 3D filmmaking, sir?
I don't know 3D filmmaking. See, if you look at all the big 3D films, the West is much advanced with VFX and all that. If you see an Avatar, I don't think we can do like that, not spend 3-4 years making like that. We don't have that kind of budgets also. But 3D is interesting.
Interesting.
Especially I like seeing a 3D film if it's well executed.
Very.
But the subject should suit it. But it can't be every film can't be 3D. But it has some interesting elements which I think can be used. Yeah.
Sir, coming to this children's film,
Yeah.
you are already a master. Malli.
No, actually, those children's films I've made because most of the stories I've studied in school.
Okay, okay,
So,
sir.
whatever films I've tried to make are something that has influenced me from a very young age. Like school, college, something I read and I want to make that into a film. So, that is how the children's film came. And I think it is
You are directorial, sir.
yeah. So when I direct, I normally they become more art movies than commercial films because the soul or the seed of that is when I was a child or something like that.
Sir, most of your directorial films are made in Tamil language. Any interesting things, sir?
No, not most of my films. I've done Malayalam also, yeah. And
Yes, sir, I know about it, sir. But,
But Tamil, because see, I was I've been in Tamil Nadu for a long time now. From the time Maniratnam brought me to do Dalpati.
Dalpati, yes, sir.
But before that, I had a lot of Tamil influence. I used to work with Vivekananda Kendra people. So my job was to go to Balwadis in Nagarkol around that area and take classes for children
Oh,
and photography classes,
photography classes.
things like that. So I have traveled so much in deep into Tamil Nadu. Balbadi's children will be having food.
Yes,
And
sir.
then we'll shoot that, and then Tata or someone will give them more money to. Like that kind of films I used to make. So that way I landed up in a play, not in Tamil Nadu, in Kerala called
Kerala.
Kuruthapuzha, which had the largest Sri Lankan Tamil settlement.
Okay, okay, sir.
They have the people. So I became, because their culture is so different, everything is so different. So I used to have friends there. And they all come from there. So I had a lot of very interesting friends from when I was young, which is how I made terrorists. Because I have their help also.
Okay.
And they act also. Even Inam is all from them only. They all acted in the film. And I tried to take some of them and, so the recent people who came from Tamil Nadu, I helped them go to Amsterdam because they had a lot of, because they acted in the film, they had a lot of problems. So I tried to put them into Amsterdam. I put them in Amsterdam. The whole family which acted in the film is now in Amsterdam. And I keep in touch.
Terrorist, sir,
Yeah.
had a very unique images, and also that's the film put Tamil cinema in an international global market.
Yeah.
How come John Malkovich
Yeah, actually-
love story came, sir?
Actually, it is very interesting because see, actually, I shot this film here only, in Porur.
Oh,
I shot most of it in Porur,
and
a bit in
intense
Chalakudi.
jungle sequences, sir.
Chalakudi bit.
Chalakudi.
Chalakudi, some 3-4 days, and rest is here only.
Okay, okay.
So I actually wanted to make a film because when I was terrorist, I was actually caught in a situation, traffic jam. A lot of prohibition was there when Rajiv Gandhi was shot, was killed. So I was sitting there and me and my friend we were wondering what would have made her not do the trigger. So that thought was in my mind.
Very interesting premise, sir.
So my thought was like that, and so slowly the film became. I wrote a script, just a piece of paper, no script. Then I had a bunch of students with me because there's not much money for a big crew and all that. So I had a camera. So I had a bunch of students. The students were Vishnuvardhan, Anu was my assistant, Vishnu was there. They all acted in the movie also.
Okay.
So all these people, we went together and I would start like a painting. So we'll draw the head first. So we'll shoot that. So we shot it in order.
Okay, okay, sir.
And real rain, no artificial rain. It was real rain. And the actress, of course, she became very big later on. So we made the film like that. Then the film got a lot of awards in a lot of places. Like for Cairo, John Malkovich was the jury chairman. So he promoted the film, gave the film all the awards, and then he released it all over the world.
Yes, sir.
Then I got Independent Spirits Award nomination, which is a very rare thing. It's one of the first films to do that. Terrorist also was the first film in Sundance from India.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it had a lot of things, and it is partially because of the because that time suicide bomber was new. No one really thought about that. Wherever you went, oh my God, like this. You know, it was something new. Now it is very common, but it was new. You know, so people grew more and more interested in it.
So
But
beautiful.
John Malkovich is someone I met 2-3 times also.
Okay.
Very nice people actually.
Very nice. Actually, why the West people was so much impressed with the images you created?
Actually, it was the first film I think that the ASC magazine, the American Society of
Yes, sir.
Cinematographer magazine, when they came to Sundance, they picked this film as the uh, three best visually striking films.
Yes, sir.
So they and all those big critics and all said that this film is written by the camera. It is not a script film; it's a film written by the camera. And I actually, the only conscious decision I made is because I have going to have a name called the terrorist. I will not have blood and violence and nothing like that. I will have all green and lush. And so, in this purity only, all this is happening like that.
Happening.
So, I think maybe they liked the way it was juxtaposed. You know, all the critics and all loved it like that, which is why they released the film.
So actually, when I saw the film, how you had a guts that's having so much of background in the shallow depth of field. Still, you are confident how the audience will understand the background, sir.
This basically what I've tried to do is to use the sound and visual together. See, I didn't have a big budget to show too many things. So shallow focus works very well for me. So I can keep them the like when you write a novel, people are reading and imagining. So here by using shallow focus, you are letting the crowd imagine. Oh, this could be so much crowd. Actually, there's no crowd. But with the sound and all that, you get the feeling that so you have made them enter a world which is much bigger than the film. So I think that's done. No, but nowadays, of course, you can afford to have big visuals and all that if you have the money, of course, or with VFX. But that back then there was nothing like that. There's not a single shot of VFX in even in Ashoka is not there. Even in Urumi it's not there. So you try to think like that because you would like to things to be in your control. Once you say VFX, it goes out of your control, which is not a good thing actually. So you like to have everything within your control. Yeah.
Sir, in the terrorist, there was one character bedridden. How that was very haunting for the audience.
Yeah.
How you conceived that character, sir?
I think most of the people. It is. I had a friend who just came to meet me from US. He's a doctor. So his grandfather was bedridden for 15 years. I was a kid that time. So uh, in his house, there's a picture which I shot at that time. I must have been in school of this old man on a bed. But I took him outside and shot him at the bed. And I also shot a picture of him and this thing. But that's the only image of this grandfather who passed away. So he was telling about that actually. You made me famous and all that by taking that picture there. But the fact is, I imagine this person, someone like that.
Oh.
And all you hope that he would get up. So I just made it happen like that.
Yeah. So coming to still images,
Uh,
actually in Kerala, your father is a big legend, sir.
yeah.
And I think he ran a studio,
He still does. We still do. Yeah.
still studio, and that set up a kind of gateway to young
Not only
cinematographers
cinematographers,
and
actually
photographers.
we have a club which we started. Even now, I just went and did a masterclass there. It's a nice hall where a lot of cultural activities would happen. A lot of filmmakers would come, writers, actors, painters. People would paint and exhibit and sell it. And also, he was very much promoting all that. So we want to continue it. So we have started out again actually. But he was also with the American Information Service as a photographer. So he had the opportunity to photograph big political leaders like Indira Gandhi and all these people. And he was also very active in being one of the pioneer press photographers with M.D. Vasudevan Nair and all that. So he also had a lot of patrons, political people and everything. So it was a kind of a hub.
Yes, sir.
So even when I was a kid, I've met so many big writers as a In fact, when I was studying, my one chief minister, ex-chief minister, Achyuta Menon used to come there. So I used to use him as a model and take pictures. So there are pictures of me doing exposure metronome and all. He would come and sit there because he was a patron and he likes photography and all that. So we had this opportunity. Yeah. And then of course, um, it was all photochemistry then.
At what age you held the light meter, sir?
No, light meter was after institute.
After institute only, sir. I want to
Before
know
that,
about.
I used to see. My grandmother used to promote me, or rather encourage me, because I used to sketch. My grandmother used to teach in the palace,
Oh,
so she would bring all these copies of calendars of Raja Ravarma paintings, and in the evening, all the children would sit and she would explain the stories. That this is what happened, Garuda going, all that. All the paintings had a story, no? Whenever I did a painting, she would take it and say, "This is an original painting. We should frame it and all that stuff."
okay.
So later, when my father taught me photography, he said the original is a negative, and today the original is a copy.
Okay.
It's like digital. So things change. Everything changes. That you realize then itself. But the fact is that what doesn't change is your sensibilities, your upbringing. Today, what is happening is that everyone is so much exposed to the web and net that their experience is not individualistic, it is general. So, everyone is going through the same influences. But I think it's important to have influences from your culture, you understand, you travel. When you travel, you really get a sense of learning something firsthand, not what your classroom student get, it's just for yourself. So I think traveling is one of the best education for someone who wants to do cinematography, to understand and absorb the culture that we have. Actually, yeah.
Sir, before you are going to Film Institute, how was your with your father? What are the beautiful memories as a
Yeah,
guru of imaging, sir?
actually, what's good thing is that whenever my father used to go, I used to travel with him.
Okay,
That's the
sir.
biggest. So we are traveling through Wayanad deep forest. In deep forest, there are curvy roads. So you wonder who built them. So your dad said, foreigners. So where are they now? They are gone. Oh, but then the built the forest, there must be a lot of problem, because monkey jumps from here to this branch and branch. But when a road comes, this becomes a separate tribe. This becomes a separate tribe. I made a film called Before the Rains,
Before the rain, yes, sir.
based on that
Oh,
that
okay, okay,
story only.
okay.
Yeah. So then, just like that, when foreigners were here, they also be cultural interactions. Opposites attract. Then a lot of problems. So imagine one white person falling in love with our girl, so things like that. So those kind of influences were there quite a bit, because everything I've learned about the sea and nature and everything, and also you have a father who will explain patiently what you would like to
Oh,
know. No one is saying, "Oh, stop talking." He was always.
so he was your first teacher,
He's my only teacher.
only teacher.
The other teachers are there, but not directly.
Yes,
But I mean, we
yes.
have learned so much by seeing their films and things like that, but not directly. You are actually always learning here. So you're open to learning anytime. You can also learn from a newcomer.
Yes, sir.
You can also learn from anyone, you can learn from actually something. So if you're open to it, you can't have an ego and say, "No, I'm someone." Not like that. So you learn all the time. And but you should also have an eagerness to learn. Even when you teach children, you actually learn. So that way. But I think uh, to make it very simple, so I like traveling. So I used to do for Vivekananda Kendra. So they like me because wherever you say, I'll go and do all the shooting. So they said, "There's a job for you. Can you teach?" So I used to know I can do big prints and all, still photography. I also learned processing and color processing and printing from Kodak,
Kodak. Okay,
Bombay.
okay. Bombay.
So I learned that also. I can do all that. But basically, they wanted black and white. I said, "Okay." So I was supposed to teach children. I said, "Fine." They said, "Okay, we have to go to Arunachal Pradesh." So I thought it must be next to Andhra Pradesh. But then later, I am in, what is that, China border, Arunachal Pradesh. Only forest,
for us?
nothing. You cross the Brahmaputra and all that. After 13 days, I reached there. No train, you have to go on a meter gauge and all that. Very difficult travel. Then I went there and you see people wearing, in the city, people wearing this bear skin and
Okay.
all tribal dress, very
Tribal.
strange, and they look at you as if they've never seen you before. Then I went to the school, which was deep in the forest. I saw Mahatma Gandhi's statue.
Okay, sir.
They made it like them, big calf muscles, big shoulders, and stick like this. So I said, Mahatma Gandhi was not like this. Then they said, no, Mahatma Gandhi won in freedom for India. Then I said, but he didn't do, he picked up the stick and they ran away like that. So they're really sick. So I used to teach them.
Teach the.
So I was teaching them photography. They
Yes,
liked
sir.
it. Then one day their dog died. I went to the forest. Then they told me that they want to bury very deep. Then they told me that they're burying very deep because they want the dog to become the tree. So
Oh.
it has to go to the roots. And then in their belief, it is said that everything that has life has to have a mystery of light and darkness.
Light and oh.
It's like a grayscale. So if that is not there, there is no life. So when I light, I try to think like that and try to see if there is a blend of light and
And
darkness. So there should be some darkness, there should be light. There should be all like a grayscale. So you start thinking like that. And then we went deeper, and then suddenly all these people, it was nightish time, and the tigers and all that. They surrounded me and pulled out their sword and all. They all have swords. Just whispering something. So I asked what happened, and they said, there are two tiger prints here, two tigers.
Oh.
All tall grass, you can't see what is there. So I said, Appa, what will we do if you see a tiger? Then he said, I will run very fast and climb tall tree very fast. We can never climb like that. As scout guys. So I said, but Appa, I don't know how to, I've not learned to climb and run like that. What will I do? Then he said, no problem, sir. You see tiger, you will learn everything very fast. That is exactly how a cinematographer is.
Superb, sir.
Everyone will say, light up this road and this car is going and wow, ready. But we will have to learn everything very fast. Correct, no? So there is amazing. You have to really improvise all the time and think beyond yourself. So always, especially in big films, the kind of situations are not something you have done before.
Yeah.
But they will tell you, oh, from the full road you have to light up. I was doing an English film. Goa, they're bringing this big Akela crane into the sea at night, and they wanted me to light up 7 kilometers, tents,
Things.
like a bar. But but you'll do it, no? So it's just like that.
You are the first to use Akela cream, sir.
Yeah,
Veere. Dil se.
one of the, I've used it before in ad film.
That film, sir. Sir, actually.
Kerala tourism ad film. Using the fishing boats,
Oh.
the boat race, no? So,
Yes, 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 sir. Being a traveler, we have seen variety of cultures, everything, sir. Your films also, you are one side you are doing a serious film, another side you are able to do a very big commercial cinema, sometimes even masala cinema. How you are able to adapt it so easily, sir?
I think it's very interesting because I also do documentaries quite a bit, commercials also.
More than 50, I think, sir.
Yeah, commercials also I do, ad films also, everything. I think it's like reading. Sometimes you like to read a newspaper. Sometimes you like to read a nice book. Sometimes you like to read a comic book. So just like that, you also do everything so that you don't get bored with just one kind of.
One kind of. So,
And I enjoy everything. I love shooting songs. I love shooting fights. That is only in a commercial films that
Commercial
happens.
films,
So it is like that actually.
actually, when we are shooting terrorist, the same ideology was there in Dil Se. But your imaging was not the same for both the movies. Approach was entirely different. How you are able to keep that mental scale, sir?
I think director is very important. When the director's vision is very important.
Okay.
When we did Irivar, it was more sophisticated imagery, but they'll say it was playing to the gallery. It was like it's for mass. Okay, but Irivar is more refined and more subtle.
Subtleness.
But I think it is a subject that required it. But you did both and you got national award for both.
Yes, sir.
So it is very different kind of work, you know. So I don't think it is a. I think most people are able to do like that, cinematographers, because I think cinematography you should treat like character. You know, supposing you tell uh, Kamal Hassan to play a character of a 80-year-old man, then he'll do 80-year-old. Then say, okay, 25-year-old, he'll do 25-year-old. So like that, cinematography also has that beautiful magic where you can have different versions of light.
Especially in Dil Se, most the wide vistas you captured through tele lenses, sir. Most of the shot. Why so much of tele lenses were used in Dil Se, sir? And it had extreme wide also, juxtaposed, but tele lenses played a very huge role in Dil Se, sir.
Yeah, I think when you shoot these films, you know, I feel because I also make a conscious effort to keep away from the last film, especially with money. So Roja is different. Dalbadi is different from Roja. Roja is different from Irivar is different. Dilse is different. Even Chekka Chandana, now I shot.
Yes, sir.
Ravan is different. Everything is different. So you try to make it as different as possible so that the film has a uniqueness
Uniqueness.
on the whole. The film story wise is unique, but everything should be unique, not just the story. So if your photography, visualization is different, music is different, then I think it's interesting. No? So you actually do a lot of homework also. It's not that you simply go and say, you do a bit of homework, how you want it to be done, or what you think should be done.
இந்த வீடியோ உங்களுக்கு பிடிச்சிருந்தா லைக் பண்ணுங்க, ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க, கமெண்ட் பண்ணுங்க. மறக்காம OH சினிமா சேனலுக்கு சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்க.